Hello and welcome back to my YouTube channel. So for today's video I'm filming my monthly wrap up of all the books I read during the month of May. Before we get into it, how good does my new bookshelf look? I'm always obsessing over it. It's just so pretty and I can't wait to add even more books to it with this pile I got through in May. I was pretty happy actually because I got through 6 books in May, which may not seem like many, and it's not heaps honestly, but I've been in a slump the last few months, so this feels like a lot, and I'm very proud of myself for getting through all of these. But I thought I would give you guys a bit of a breakdown of each book, my thoughts. I read heaps of different books, like completely different from each other this month, so can't wait to give you guys the whole rundown. Before we get into this video though, if you do love books and these are your sorts of videos, and also I do heaps of fun vlogs, all that sort of stuff, be sure to check out the rest of my channel and do subscribe if you like what you see. But let's get into it. Book number 1 was Champion, the final book in the trilogy, the Legend trilogy by Marie Lu. Not my favourite. Honestly, I felt like I was just getting through this trilogy, like I just wanted to reach the end of it. It wasn't bad, but it definitely did not live up to the expectations I had, because I've heard so many amazing things about Marie Lu and I just feel like this series did not meet it. The series did get better though as it went on, so this is the 3rd book. Yeah, I liked the way it all came together. That was really good. Yeah, and the ending was really bittersweet. It was a really good conclusion to the series, but I can't say I would recommend the series at all, nor was it one of my favorites. Probably this book was like a 3 out of 5, and the other 2 books were maybe a 2.5 out of 5. So yeah, not my best thing, but I finished that trilogy. That's the first book I finished for the month of May. Okay, the next book I finished, it was really lovely. It's Not Summer Without You by Jenny Han. I feel like I'm very late to the Summer I Turned Pretty trilogy, but I'm so glad I finally got to experience it. It is like such a beautifully thin book, which is crazy compared to all the other books I read and read. Yeah, it's just such a thin book. It's a really nice, easy read, like so relaxing, perfect to get me out of a slump, just because I feel like I didn't have to put in heaps of effort. It wasn't like a deep fantasy book or something where you're like really involved in the plot. I really enjoyed this series. My favourite thing, so this is the 2nd book in the Summer I Turned Pretty series, and my personal favourite thing is that Bally, the main character, is super immature and makes so many bad decisions, but I actually love that. I don't know why, but I love following along with that and just seeing everything go to chaos and sort of be picked up again. And yeah, all the characters are very real, I feel. They have lots of flaws, and it was just a really enjoyable series. Following on from that, I finished the series. I know it annoys me that these 2 don't match, but I have this one from the secondhand bookshop, so beggars can't be choosers. But I finished off with We'll Always Have Summer by Jenny Han, the final in the trilogy of The Summer I Turned Pretty. And yeah, I'd say this whole series is like a 4 out of 4. I can't speak. A 4 or a 4.5 out of 5 stars. I really loved it, just for such an easy read. It was really good. And yeah, this book though was the most intense. It was probably my least favourite of the series actually, because Bally is a bit older. I personally preferred it when she was younger and she was making heaps of immature decisions. She still makes plenty of bad decisions in this book, but she's a bit older and I'm not sure I'm into that. And yeah, just a lot of stuff I didn't expect to happen happens in this book. So it's not my favourite out of the series. It's probably like 3.5 stars and the others are like closer to 4.5 stars, but overall the trilogy, it was really good. And yeah, I recommend it if you're in a reading slump or you just want something easy and relaxing. Yeah, also I feel like they're really summery. I didn't read them during summer, but if it's summer for you, this is like a really nice series for the summer, I feel. Okay, so the 4th book I read was very exciting. It was my first ever Stephen King book. So it's Billy Summers by Stephen King. I'd heard amazing things about this from some booktuber. Who was it? Hayley Pham, I think. I think it was her who read this and recommended it. But it was really good. It follows this guy, Billy Summers, who is a killer for hire, and he's doing his last ever job. and he's going to be paid heaps and heaps and heaps. But a lot of stuff he feels like is going to go wrong with the job, or does go wrong. And then honestly only like half the book is about his last job, and then the second half is like just following him after that job. And it's really, really interesting. You don't expect it to happen like the way it does, and it's really cool to see all the relationships he builds, and then how he has to like shed his life, like become someone else in order to do the job. And then once he's done the job, he has to completely shed all those relationships and like identity he became. I don't know if that's making sense at all, but it's really, really interesting. I really enjoyed this book. I definitely want to read more Stephen King after this. And yeah, if you are looking for a Stephen King to read, Billy Summers is where it's at. I'd say I probably rate that like 4.5 or 5 stars, honestly. Okay, 5th book of the month was You and Me on Vacation by Emily Henry. I love Emily Henry. She's one of my favorite authors. It annoys me that all of her books look very similar, because I, in my head, get so confused which one's which. They all have such similar covers. But this is You and Me on Vacation. I've read Book Lovers and Beach Read. Beach Read was my favorite. I did like Book Lovers too. I'd say this is my least favorite Emily Henry book though. Although it was like a similar normal Emily Henry vibe you'd expect, like a bit of a rom-com, really relaxing, easy romance read. And it was really, really good. It just, yeah, wasn't my favorite of hers. I felt like it followed a lot of years. Like it kept jumping back from the present to back like 8 years ago, and then 7 years ago, and 6 years ago. And I felt like it was moving too quickly. Like, yeah, I felt like it was just jumping around too much, and I would have preferred for it just to stay in the now and maybe only done a few flashbacks. So yeah, I felt it was a bit too busy, but still a really solid, good Emily Henry book. She always delivers the best books. So yeah, if you like Emily Henry, you'll love this book, of course. And I probably rated it like a 3.5 stars, so it definitely wasn't bad at all. But if you want any Emily Henry book, get on to Beach Read, because that's my favorite. Okay, and then this is a big call, because I honestly had a great month of reading. I loved all the books I read, but this was probably my favorite book of the month and the last book I read for the month of May. And this is Belladonna by Adeline Grace, which I honestly hadn't heard much about at all before I picked it up. But it is a really gothic book. If you like sort of V. Schwab books, you will like this book. It's a very similar vibe, like quite gothic. And it's almost like a weird mix of like YA, Pride and Prejudice with like, I don't know, this girl who like can see death and has powers of death, which is just really, really cool. And yeah, I'd say it was my favorite book of the month. It was a solid 5 out of 5 stars, and it is a second book, so I feel like I will find that second book and go read it, because I really, really enjoyed this. And I had no expectations going into this book. I'd never really heard of it that much, but I loved it so much. So yeah, if you want an amazing read, if you love gothic books, yeah, this one's perfect. It's gothic, like set in the late 1800s, and it's got mystery as well. There's a lot of mystery in it actually, and also romance. It's like everything all in one. And yeah, that's really good. Definitely my favorite book of the month. So anyway, that wraps up my month of reading. I'm really happy with how I read this month. I know it's only 6 books. It's not a lot, but after a big reading slump, it feels like a lot. And I enjoyed like almost all of these books. They were solidly good. Like that was a good month of reading. I would recommend almost all of these books. Anyway, if you did like this video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe down below. Come chat with me in the comments. I'd love to know, have you read any of these books? What were your thoughts? Do you have any recommendations? I'm always on the lookout for new good books to read, so that would be very much appreciated. Anyway, I'll see you guys in my next video on Tuesday. Until then, bye.